Welcome to Imeall Studio in Belfast, Northern Ireland. My name is Ruth Bothwell. I am an art restorer and I work within conservation and restoration of the painted and decorated surface. I always wanted to go to art college. Finally, I ended up going in my mid-20s. I ended up going to Brussels to the Van der Kellen School of Decorative Arts, where I studied decorative arts right across the board. Unfortunately, in Ireland, north and south of the border, we don't have any training colleges that train restorers, conservators within arts. There are significant amount of artefacts, as anyone can imagine, in Ireland. We don't have enough restorers. Generally, I bring people from Italy who have finished their 4 years studying conservation and restoration. They come over to our studio in Belfast to work as an intern. This is really beautiful 1920s chinoiserie chair. We're very privileged to have it in our studio. It's very rare, I think. I need to speak to a few people within antiques who can maybe give me more information about this. I don't know enough other than it's from the 1920s. The client brought it to us and her painter and decorator had very clumsily saw that all of the detail on the back panel was crumbling, and he thought it was a really good idea to get his paint scraper out and go and scrape it off. So we literally got this chair and a bag of crumbled up paint and gesso and gold, and unfortunately to put that back together would be a very, very long time, and it may not obviously work because it had deteriorated significantly and it had swollen and obviously fallen off its primary support. In our studio we get a lot of people who attempted to repair a painting and using some nail polish remover, and yes, they've taken like half the painting off, you know, so we get a lot of that. So it's best to stop, make the phone call, find out who can do this properly and take it from there. Always people are very scared that it's very, very expensive, but before a restorer will start anything, they will do a condition report and a survey on the artefacts, and then that will establish the time involved and invariably the cost, you know, so nothing is done until the condition report is produced. Fortunately and unfortunately for Ukraine, it's in a terrible state of war currently. I have a colleague in London who I called and said, does anybody want to come over to live with our family in Belfast and work with us in the studio? And very fortunately for me, Ola came from the south of Ukraine, from near the Crimean Sea. She worked in a national museum, a heritage museum. It's fantastic for me because now I have a fully qualified, trained paper as well as paintings conservator in the studio. We have an enormous painting from Tullinanny Castle in Longford that fell off the wall last summer. It had a terrible accident and it suffered a considerable amount of rips, tears, paint losses, and the whole of the canvas presented canvas distortion due to years of being hung on a wall. This painting, it belongs to the Pakenham family. It is incredibly painted. It dates back to the early 1800s, so early 19th century, and it's one of two, so it's one of a pair of beautiful paintings which depict the family tree of the Pakenham family. We're still undertaking research as into who created this incredible piece of artwork, this family tree. We don't know. I'm not sure if it was created in England or Ireland, but I assume it was probably created by some of the great guilds in London at the time who were quite incredible at creating family crests, coat of arms, and phenomenal gilding, which has been employed throughout actually the coats of arms. The process for looking at a huge painting like this is the first thing we would undertake is a condition report. Enables us to look clearly at the painting and see its condition, its damages, and then we make a proposed treatment, how we propose perhaps to treat it. It's quite a process working on something like this. You know, first of all, we have to be very informed, so we have to do a lot of research, and we need to research on the materials used, research on the actual painting itself, you know, who painted it, where it came from. So we rely on the client to give us as much information as possible, and then we relay the information we get to the clients, and they enable us to proceed, and they agree with how we're going to treat it. I'm looking at this huge area of loss, which is sort of central to the painting. This suffered a significant rip in 2 areas when it fell off the wall in Tullynally Castle. I have patched the back of it, so now it's got a support, which is quite a large patch. The canvas I used is similar to the weave of the canvas, which was used in the early 1800s. Obviously, the materials that were used in the 1800s, our modern materials are naturally different. We still like to use binders that are similar, and that's why we try to use natural materials like rabbit skin glue and chalk. Our pigments are similar. They're obviously more modern. We've got more modern, you know, substrates within them as well. But we try and keep it minimal intervention as possible, and we try and keep it as close to the materials that have been used throughout the years on paintings.